Hey there, welcome to another conversation on the 3-tip bit. Thanks so much for tuning in again. And today I am welcoming one of my greatest friends and experts, Erin Richey Carlson. Erin, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and who you do it for.
Hey, Lindsay, thanks so much for having me. I think this is just the coolest idea. I know we're in uncertain times right now, and changing environments just breed creativity. And I think you are latching on in an awesome way. So thanks so much for having me. So I am an owner of a business called ERC Strategies. We are a talent consulting and career development firm, and we really provide strategic consulting for all aspects of hiring, training, and retaining talent. And that's on both the employer side and the job seeker side. So the people that I typically work with are small business owners and professionals, usually in the professional services space. So think financial services, accounting, real estate, attorneys, things like that. I also do a lot of work with career seekers, people who are looking to job change or maybe looking for advancement in their career and need help from that perspective. So typically the way that I work with clients is I do a lot of on-demand recruiting support, so helping small business owners in those professional services spaces hire for their teams and support them in their growth. I do business consulting for various different business consulting projects related to growth and development of teams. And then I do a lot of one-on-one coaching, so executive leadership and also career coaching.
So good. All right. So Erin, you and I have known each other for, gosh, I think it's been about 5 years now or so. And I've just seen your expertise explode and talk about like somebody who just always brings value and always has a pulse on what is happening in the world of the career space and development space and helping business owners. So Erin, I know you've got a wealth of knowledge, but as far as our conversation today goes, what are the 3 tips that you'd like to share with our listeners regarding just the uncertain times that we're in and what they can hopefully take away from your expertise?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. So I'm going to be kind of broad in what I share in 3 tips, but I think it applies to a lot of the different stakeholders that I work with. And if you're thinking anything connected to teams that you manage and just the way of work, whether it's externally or internally, I think this really should apply. So hopefully this will touch on a lot of things for various different stakeholders and people that you have that are following you. So my 3 tips that I'm going to talk about are over communicate, adapt, and be a human and be a good human. Those are the 3 things I'm going to talk about. So the first thing is over communication. And if anybody that's out there that's listening to this has worked with me before, we talk about this a lot. And I think it's relevant in all times of business, but especially in times of uncertainty. I think this applies to stakeholders in all interactions and kind of walks of life, whether it's your clients that you're working with and trying to navigate this new normal and this new mode of work, teams that you manage or are a part of, candidates that you might have going through your interview process, even job seekers as you're engaging, talking to employers or interviewing. So I think a few things to ask yourself when you think about how to over communicate. How is the method or the mode of the interaction for how you're working with clients or teams or candidates? How is it changing? And then from there, what can people expect of you in some of the evolution of how they communicate, right? So think about if we're used to meeting people in person, or we're used to talking to people in a professional environment, all of a sudden we're home or we're leveraging GoToMeeting or Zoom meetings. How can they learn what they should be expecting from you in the way that this is changing? And then also, what do you need from them, whether it's a client or a teammate? How are all of these methods and modes of communication changing? And I think really being ahead of that and letting your clients know or your teammates know or candidates know what's going on, people are going to feel like they know what's going on a little bit more. So we don't necessarily have a crystal ball and all the answers for how this evolution is going to change, how long it's going to last. But I think a lot of times in the absence of information, we can get scared and be fearful. Think about it, especially if you're in the process of interviewing a new person to join your team and they don't hear from you for a week and the coronavirus is amid everything that's going on, they may just assume that you're not hiring anymore, which may not be the case. And so you don't want to lose a candidate in your process if you're still trying to keep them engaged. So just really over communicate and be ahead of the curve and making sure that people know what the plan is and how you're going to adapt as a result of it. So that would be one. Adaptability, I think, would be the second thing. There's a Darwin quote that I think is really appropriate for a time like this. It's not the strongest are the most intelligent who survive, but typically those who can best manage the change. Lindsay, what you're doing right now, I think, is a perfect example of this, right? We're all online a lot more. We're leveraging virtual connectivity more. How can we be adapting to that? So things to think about if you're an employer or a job seeker or any of those things. If you're someone who is interviewing or onboarding or training a new employee, how does your process change, right? What needs to change in order to accommodate that? If people aren't going into an office environment, how can you adapt your process? How can you leverage the resources and technology that you have to make sure that people are still getting what they need when they need it when they're onboarding and training? That would be an idea. How does your job search need to change? If you're a job seeker, if you're an upcoming college graduate, and you're thinking about, the career fair that you might have been supposed to attend this week that's no longer happening because your campus is closed. What are you doing to engage employers and companies that you've been interested in virtually? Is your LinkedIn profile updated, right? A lot of times I know graduating seniors don't think about things like that until they're really close to the job market, but you probably need to be ahead of some of those virtual tools now. Set up, and this is for people who are going through the interview process or for clients or employers that are looking to hire, set up virtual meeting accounts. A lot of us know, and I think we've probably heard a lot about adapting to virtual work. Zoom accounts and GoToMeeting accounts have free versions that you can leverage, so you don't have to pay for them. Great idea from another recruiting consultant friend of mine. Her name is Sarah Henning. She said, hey, if you often take candidates through the interview process and you take them through an office tour, maybe record a video of your office. If you can't, you can't walk them through physically, take a video before your office permanently closes and make sure you have that to send to candidates, especially people that are like millennials who really want to see what their office environment and culture is going to look like. So I thought that was an awesome idea from Sarah. And then just in general, modifying, maybe if you're a job seeker, again, modifying the industries that you're seeking out. Maybe what you thought would be, really good job in the hospitality industry. And I know there's a lot of unknowns. We don't know how the job market's going to fare. It's just too early. And I know there are some doom and gloom, statistics and data out there, but hang tight. It's just been a week. A lot could change or a lot could turn around. But we're seeing early impacts, obviously, to the service industry, to hospitality, things like that. If you've been looking for a job in an industry that you think might be impacted by what's going on, modify your search, modify where you're seeking. A lot of times companies have a need for the type of work or function you provide. It just might be in healthcare, or it might be with companies like Amazon or Walmart who are doing a ton of fulfillment and deliveries and things like that. So you just have to modify in thinking of that there. One other thing I'll share on the adapt standpoint is for those companies that are thriving, right now is a great time to attract top-notch talent who might not have otherwise been available or open to a career change. So for those of you in industries like financial services or healthcare, or again, supply chain or logistics, where candidates that you might have engaged a year ago or even 3 to 6 months ago, it may not have been the right time, but they were really sharp and attractive. Go back and engage those candidates again. Now is a great time to be thinking about who in the industry might be more adapt and open to a change, and might be open to a career conversation more now than they've been in the past. And then my third point is that point of being a good human, or being a human and being a good one. I think just beginning with the end in mind, we're all in a state of flux right now. There is no one, truly no one in our world, imagine that, that's not affected in some way, shape, or form by this. And some of us on a very small scale, and some of us on a large scale. Some of us have family members who are sick or immunocompromised, or just we're worried about them, right? It's a lot of people are feeling a lot of different things right now. So I think if we can operate from a place of compassion and empathy when we're engaging with our clients, our candidates, even employers, if people are taking a long time to get back to you, give them a break, cut them some slack. Even just little things. If you're still in the interview process with candidates, asking them right when they jump on, how are you doing? How's everything going? Is your family well? Are your friends healthy? How are you, handling the isolation? Are you by yourself? Do you have a roommate? Those types of things, I think, just bring a human element to what we're all going through, that not only breed authenticity, but I think it also is good for your business brand. People feel like you care. And I think that really matters. So those are my three tips.
I love it. You never disappoint, Erin. You always go above and beyond. I love the specific examples you gave. And here are the three takeaways. Over communicate, be adaptable, and don't just be a human, but be a good human. I love that. So Erin, how can people find you? How can they connect with you? What are the best ways to do that?
Sure. Thanks for asking. So I have a website, www.ercstrategies.com, just the name of the business. I am really active on Instagram, and in this ever-changing time of technology, I'm looking to be more engaged. So you can follow me at Erin R. Carlson on Instagram. And then I'm also on LinkedIn, Erin Richey Carlson as well. So follow me any of those places. The one last thing I'll mention, Lindsay, if this is okay, is on my website, I actually have a couple of free resources, a workbook connected to how to navigate the hiring process, and then another workbook all focused on how to hire, train, and retain talent. So if you fall into this camp of being a job seeker or an employer or small business that's really just looking to build and grow and needs to know how to do it, there are two free resources under the resources tab of my website. Just jump on, throw your email address in there, and we'll send it to you free of charge. And it could be some great ways to start to get to launch either a job search or a hiring process if you're seeking to do that.
Awesome. What did I tell you? Always bringing value. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, so I've talked about strategic coach the last 3 years, and where normally we start our conversations with a positive focus, we're actually going to end our conversation with a positive focus. So my question for you as we wrap up is, what is one thing that makes you really happy?
Oh, I love it. I would say in the last like 24 to 48 hours, FaceTime has made me very happy. I am an extrovert. So the lack of human connectivity with friends and family has just made me sad the last few days. So we figured out how to group FaceTime. Lindsay and I know actually even had a friend that we did a little virtual happy hour yesterday. So I am leveraging video like crazy, and it just makes me it makes you feel more connected. So that's been it's been a high point for me this week to do some of that.
I love that. And also Marco Polo, which you finally pushed me over the edge. I've already gotten a few friends who've been like, you're finally on this platform. So thank you for that too. All right, friends, thanks again for tuning in to another 3-tip bit. Stay tuned and be sure to go to ercstrategies.com to get access to Erin's brain and that free content. We'll see you on the other side. Thanks again.